Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to This Is Real with yours truly, Juan Martinez.
And Stephanie Rave.
Hey man, Steph, let me tell you something. It gets better and better.
Every week.
Every single week it gets better and better. And you know, it's a show where we talk about real people, real problems, and real solutions.
Yeah.
We always try to keep it real. We try to be as transparent.
Yeah.
You know, I always tell my guests, crying is okay. You go ahead and cry it out. You know, I just think, you know, in the streets we're always talking about keeping it real, keep it 100, but in the streets we keep it like 85. You know, we keep it like 98.7%.
Like
you know, yeah, and even if you do that, it's a lie. You know, if you ain't giving it all 100, then it's a lie. You could be 99.9, and you can't. You got to give it all. And so we believe that it's the truth that sets you free. And so we like to identify lies and then give some truth. And we do that with real people.
Yep.
And you know, we have all kinds of people writing. You know, so that's real cool. Keep the letters coming from prison. That's super dope. I think we got about 51 state and county jails or prisons that we're in every week. We get to be in 51 places at the same time.
Yeah, especially the pandemic. You can't really go out anywhere, but you know, now we're able to actually reach those who are, you know, incarcerated and behind bars, but also be able to reach everyone else out here, you know?
Yeah, man. So spread the word. You know, maybe you know somebody that's locked up. Write them and say, yo, tune into 100.7 every Saturday from 7 to 8. If they're in Dallas, all the way to Oklahoma.
Almost, South Oklahoma.
Yes, 100.7 FM there too. And there is from 9 to 10. And then in Austin, 106.7 FM. And let's see, we're there from 3 to 4. And you know what? We also have our YouTube channel, This Is Real, and our podcast, This Is Real. And you get sometimes a little different thing. Yeah, we got the radio episodes on the podcast, but we also drop some jewels, you know, some other stuff.
Yeah.
Man. So
you
it's
don't
exciting.
want to miss any of it. So
you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it.
All of them.
Come on, hit it, like it, hit the little bell. There's all kinds of instructions nowadays. If you don't give the instructions,
the grocery list, subscribe, like, notify, all of that.
And you know what? Here in the studio with us, you know, we have. I mean, listen. If you're in Houston, I think that song was like, I don't know how many weeks, man. How many weeks was that?
I believe it was 17.
17 weeks. You know, the voice you just heard is our guest. Puntin is in the building. Man, what's going on, man?
Glad to be here.
Man, dude, let me tell you something. I mean, the first thing, like I was telling you, you know, I jam, you know, I'm mostly worshiping now. You know, I'm like just weeping in the car. You know, I done went from thug to softy, you know. I got my hardness in me, but, you know, this is where I'm at. You know, I'm listening to a lot of old school slow jams, looking at the wife, you know, that kind of stuff. You know, I don't hung up my Timberland boots, you know what I'm saying? And, but this generation, man, that's rising, right? These body of believers, man, from the streets, these men and women who are, I believe, you know, God has ordained for such a time as this, and with swag,
right?
You know what I'm saying? And so I remember you from back in the day on a show, but then I heard a song and it caught me. So, you know, for me being almost 50 and I'm chilling, and all of a sudden it was a football player, and he's like, you know, he started doing this beat, and all of a sudden he's talking. What was the name of that song?
Riding and sipping.
Riding and I'm sipping.
Yes, sir.
Oh, it's always steady tipping or something like that, right?
I ain't even tripping.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it just caught my attention. I started looking you up, and I started seeing things like you in a graduation suit. You on God City. You know, we've had him here before. He actually goes to our church, Lucky Luciano.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, Kelly Jean, you know, the whole crew. And I just kept searching for you, and I was like, man, you know, God, and I started seeing all this stuff. So I see the way you're helping people. This is what I'm seeing from afar.
Yes, sir.
You know, right now, this is our first initial contact,
yes,
but
sir.
I'm seeing from afar all of these great attributes.
Right.
You are breaking the mold,
yes, sir.
Right, of how people would see. Because, you know, a lot of times we talk about stereotype, but sometimes we did the things that they were stereotyping. We're just mad that they were stereotyping.
Right.
You follow me?
Correct.
But at this point, they can't, because you're doing not the thing. Now you have the right to be upset, because you're like, nah, I just got a 4-year bachelor's. I'm about to step into a master's.
Yes,
like, what are you
sir.
talking about? I ain't on the block slinging.
Right.
You know, so it's cool. I love that.
Yes, sir.
Clothing company, producing.
Yes, sir.
Right? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Puntin, by the way.
Okay.
I am a rapper. I'm a producer, and I'm on clothing line.
Okay.
And just nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody who can touch and save anybody.
That's pretty
Nice.
cool. That's pretty cool. It's always been like that for you? I mean, because I see you got the lean on God.
Right.
What is that? It says established in 2012.
2012,
Yeah.
correct. It was I got it from a song. I think I said something about I lean on God like a double cup, you know.
Okay.
And then after listening to it, I was like, hey, you know, the idea came to me. You know, I can have a double cup pouring out and saying I lean on God. I don't lean on promethazine and codeine.
Wow, because that's a big that's a big
Yeah,
thing.
it's a
Big
Especially
thing.
in
It's culture.
sipping.
Yeah, definitely big in H-Town. It originated in H-Town.
Wow.
So I think it wouldn't. Where's the place to brand something that's reverse of that? You know, reversing the curse.
Wow, that's really good. How long have you been? I mean, when did this encounter happen for you? Were you always like, boom, you're in Jesus, or like, you talk to me?
Yeah,
Well,
what was
I
your
grew
childhood
up-
like?
Childhood, I grew up playing the drums. I started playing the drums at 12, and my family's and my mom has been in music for years. She's been in radio for 40.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
So your mom got that radio
She
voice.
got that radio voice.
Hey, hey, everybody.
Right. So she managed some groups. She sung herself. My younger twin sister sing. So I traveled a lot playing the drums with my younger sisters and my mom. It was called
Wow.
Gloria Twins and Friend. They had a friend that sung with them. So we went to travel a lot of places. So that's where it originated. I
That's
started
where it
in the
originated.
church, you know, playing the drums for them.
Wow.
When I got around 18, that's when I
Started.
seen what the world was about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were leaning on the other way.
I
You were
was
leaning
leaning
the other way.
Yes, sir.
Wow,
Right.
man.
So in 2012, and it's shifted, kind of.
It was 2006 when
Okay.
it shifted,
All right.
but 2012 is when that
song.
I Lean on God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
That's when that
So
came
what
about.
what happened? What made you kind of like? Because now, okay, so your story is kind of like similar to Stephanie in a way with the church.
Yeah.
You were in the church.
I was in
Then
it.
you were like, yo, I'm out. You
I'm
know, this is
out.
whack.
It's
Right?
whack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something about 18. I don't know what that is. You know,
Oh my
something about when you
God.
turn 18,
That's
you're like,
hilarious.
Yeah.
So you're like, yo,
Okay, it's my turn to see what the world is about.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah, you
I
got
wasn't-
curious.
I wasn't allowed. I didn't go to parties like some of my friends. They went to parties before, you know, even school parties. I never went to that. So
So train a child in the way he should go, and he shall never depart from it. Is a true thing.
it's a true thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Planted the seeds.
That's what's up.
Yes, sir.
And so what happens? What happens? Like where you at? You
Yeah.
you sipping, you playing the drums, the
2006.
conviction hit. What happened?
Oh man, it was a lot of things happening at the you know, at the process when I had my secular group.
Yeah.
And you know, to be honest, we were doing pretty good. You know, a lot of rappers, they it's a saying that says, hey, you didn't make it in the world, so
Yeah.
you know, you went to
oh, wow.
yeah, you turned to Christian rapper.
Wow.
Dang, I didn't know that.
Hey,
Well, yeah, it's a
that's
saying.
like a hard
Straight
diss in the
up.
That's a
world, right?
diss.
That's a
That's a
hard
diss.
diss.
Yeah, yeah.
You should write a song about that.
You're right.
Hey, look.
Yeah, you're right.
Just
They say if
answer
you-
'em.
You're right. They say if you're scared, go to church. So we're
Yeah.
gonna reverse that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, you.
I did say that. If
Yeah.
you're going to go to church. Yeah.
So yeah, so I actually had we had a couple tables label deals
Yeah.
on the table.
Yeah.
You know, so I kind of, when I turned to Christ, when God came and got me, when I opened up my eyes, you know, when
Yeah,
he
when
took
you
the
see.
shackles off of my eyes.
yeah.
Like a week or so after that, we got a deal to come, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, and they
Oh,
sitting in our
of course.
living room. Sitting in our
Yeah,
living room
with the pen, with the pen. Hey, in
Pen.
slow motion too.
Slow
Yeah,
motion,
yeah.
slow motion, and I went back in the room, and I was letting them know I can't do it. I found Christ
Yeah.
recent weeks back.
That's how it
And,
be too, huh?
oh, man.
Right there. Hey,
The
he couldn't have been like
the
3
best
weeks
thing,
before
you
that.
know,
Yeah.
right there. Like, are you
Yeah.
sure?
Are you
Yeah.
sure you made that decision?
I went back. I went back to the back room and I called my mom. I said, "Hey, Mom, you know, the label is here from Houston, and you know, they say this is it. You know," she was like, "Son, you was with the group for 6 years." She said,
Yeah.
"The minute you give your life to God, you
Yeah.
know, here
Just
the
come.
enemy
Oh yeah,
comes."
see,
yeah.
it's kind of I always, back in the day, I used to always tell people like, yo, you single. Like for me, when I was single, everything good. All of a sudden, boom, you start dating, everybody
Oh,
want to talk to
man.
you. It's the same concept.
They're
It's
like,
like,
I used to have a crush on you. What you mean? Where was you at?
Why you didn't say nothing?
yeah. So it's the same concept. So your mom
Yeah.
tells you that.
She tells me that,
And
and,
that-
it was confirmation. I know.
And you seem like the guy who loves mama.
I do.
You do, right?
do,
You just
yeah.
seem like the guy, like, just the way you said that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you've been in the group 6 years, and she gave you that wisdom. It wasn't like you were like, whatever, mom. It
Right.
seemed like you listened.
I listen. Yeah.
And that was probably the best thing you've ever
The
done.
best thing I ever done, I believe so. It's been times later on in life when maybe I've been struggling or something, and I realized like, man,
Yeah.
God, I did,
Yeah.
and,
You had to make
and,
sure-
and no sacrifices worth His sacrifice,
Yeah,
of course.
Sure.
They can't measure.
Yeah.
But it's times where I'm like, man, I sacrificed this for you, God.
Oh, you throw that. You throw that. Come on, got it.
I could have signed a deal. I'm trying to do the right thing for you.
Do you know what I said no to? He's God. He knows everything.
Yeah, he's like, I proofread that. I proofreaded the contract.
Yes,
you know, like I saw it.
But I'm always reminded, man. I'm always reminded because a lot of stuff comes with that world.
Oh, fact.
Yeah, a lot of
your
stuff
life
comes
could have
with
been
that.
destructive. So it took some time because from the time I saw you, I guess there was like a program y'all were thinking of piloting or doing, and then I didn't see you for a while. I don't know if maybe that's when you were like doing like schoolwork. I don't know if maybe like you started doing. You were in the lab. I call that going to the lab. You went to the lab.
I went to the lab.
Okay, so you went to the lab. You started doing music and all that. Because it seems to me like here lately, you came out of the lab with a plan.
I did.
Is it exactly because I'm a now I'm a little bit strategic and well maybe I've always been strategic, but now I can kind of see it.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
I'm like, okay, this guy disappeared for a little bit, boom, he comes out with the graduation thing, that means he did his schoolwork, but now all of a sudden he like boom, 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 it's like clothing, song, right? So you got an album that just dropped yesterday.
Correct.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Talk to us a little bit about that, man. God's City. That's the thing.
God's City.
How many Ding. 17 weeks. Y'all just, the city of Houston love y'all.
Yeah.
Correct.
So you must be you're going to sell like 1 million copies.
Hey,
I mean, I'm just saying.
We looking for it.
Think about it. I'm just saying, if that
Yeah.
many, look, I just make one video. If y'all supported us for 17 weeks,
Right.
that means as many votes, you should at least buy one copy. Don't just support me with a phone call.
Right,
Buy a
right.
copy.
Buy a copy.
Stream it.
Yeah,
You know?
we appreciate everybody who's out there supporting, man. And I hooked up with the guys Fire, Lucky Luciano, Young Cortez.
How'd that happen? You just, because, right, you come out the lab and you start thinking of folks? I mean, how they got put in your radar?
You guys have had for a while.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Fire, I know Fire was with the World Rejects, and
Yeah.
I was doing my thing. Of course, Lucky was doing his thing, and Fire hit me up one day, and he was just like, hey, a collaboration. And it was on the World Rejects project. And it was a song called What It Do.
What It Do.
And
Yeah.
we did the song. Yes, sir. And everybody loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they loved it. That's when and then me and Fire was like, man, we might.
You might be onto something.
We
Like
might be onto something. And then Lucky got on God City.
God City.
And then that one was like,
Oh, that one just boom.
yeah, that one, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And then we were like, oh man, we should keep this going.
Yeah, we got. Of
and that's how
course,
God City came about. The whole
Nice,
album.
the album.
Yes.
a compilation album. Who's on that album?
It's the people I just spoke
Just mentioned.
of.
Yeah. Wow.
sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is now when you're claiming something like God City, right? I mean.
Yes,
that's
sir.
a
Yeah.
very if you just use it just so it can sound good, one thing, but I don't think that's the case with y'all.
No.
What's the meaning behind God City?
Yeah, because every state has like their city
Right.
pride, right? So it's
Right.
like, New York,
Yeah.
Miami,
Hey, watch it.
Houston, LA,
Lit.
but everyone kind of reps their city. But
Yeah.
I mean, you guys took Houston,
Right,
right?
right.
And you just labeled it God City. So
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure we all individually have different meanings of that God City.
Sure.
But for me, it's more like, I know the God's words talks about, territory, taking that territory, where you're at.
I like that.
And it's like, man, this is God's. Who can deny
Yeah.
God's? That's all God's actually. But
Absolutely.
hey, we're standing up and just saying, hey, man, this is God's city.
Hey,
Let's get it, put it
talking
out.
about territory, let me ask you a question before we jump into segments and stuff, because I think
Okay.
I think it goes right along with what you're saying, right?
Okay.
So you're saying for you it means God City means that the Bible talks about taking territory.
Correct.
So you're not just like, yo, this is God City. You're basically saying, yo, I'm coming on behalf of God, taking over this territory.
Yes, sir.
Right? With my crew.
With my crew.
Right?
Yeah.
For the Lord. You
Can't
got the
do it
victory
alone.
flag, right?
Yes,
you got the
sir.
victory flag. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Why? Is it because you see a problem in culture? Is it because you see a problem in the city? Like, what is the reason why you feel that you need to take territory?
Yeah, why is it
Like,
important
What's
to change it to God
'cause obviously
City?
you sound like there's a
Right.
passion there.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I definitely believe it's an issue. Some definitely issues that we definitely have to face.
Yeah. Talk to us about
especially
it.
in the culture, even the rap community.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a lot of, especially right now, a lot of rappers are being killed.
Okay.
And I believe it. Anytime you shine God's light on something, I believe it brings about a change. And I believe that's exactly needed right now, the time right now.
Yeah, a time like this.
that you got to bring some light to it. It's too dark. When something's too dark, bring some light to it and let God come in and open up some eyes.
It's really good.
Light now. Yes, sir.
So you're saying, so right now there's a lot of killing in the streets, a lot of young people killing young people.
Young people killing. Hate, envy, hatred. Just
because right now there's like a big race thing, you know, like it's almost like, I was telling people at one time that I feel like, and I really haven't talked much about the topic, but I think we're gifted, we tapped on it a little bit, but I go, sometimes I feel like, you know, when we were doing crime, we would send a shipment or a car that would speed in the front, and that wasn't the lie. It was a lie, but this one was really the lie.
Right.
You follow me? So when everything surrounded that, the real lie kind of went through. And I feel like the enemy does that. I feel like right now he's divided the country, even amongst brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Well, people who call themselves brothers and sisters, right? Because if we're really brothers and sisters, it's kingdom and then Puerto Rican.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You know, it ain't Puerto Rican and then kingdom. I got tattoos all over my body, right? And so the reality is I used to fight for that hard.
Right.
But now I fight kingdom, and so it's all about bringing peace to a situation. It's all about conversating and having conversations, even if they're difficult.
Right.
Without, I didn't get upset when they're putting up walls and all kinds of stuff, but all kinds of people, I feel, are getting upset to a point where like we ain't talking no more.
Right.
Because maybe they have a different viewpoint, or maybe they've been raised different. Maybe they are wrong, but maybe that's how they were raised.
Right.
Like, so I mean, you got to now deal with uprooting strongholds and thought processes and all kinds of stuff. But I feel like in this country right now, we keep getting deceived. The greater picture, right? Because it's all about destroying the kingdom of God.
Right.
And so, how do you feel about that a little bit? Like now that, you know, a lot of times, like for me, I was like, and I was gonna sound kind of rough, but when I look at that, I told my wife one time, I said, look, sometimes we watch stuff on TV, you know, that almost glorifies it.
Yes.
And then we're like, yo, did you see that thing on Netflix? You know, that thing was dope. And it was basically the Hispanic dude and the black dude was selling drugs. And, you know, the same storyline all the time, right? And I said, we clapped it. So until we can, like, almost get upset about that and not watch it, then we got no room to really talk, because we clapping for it. We like, yo, go watch it. So we like it. We just don't like when somebody tells us we like that.
Right. We like it.
We like it.
Yeah. It's even with rap. You know, when people, you know, a lot of people like that gangster rap.
Fact.
You know,
well, I grew up on it.
Yeah. Even though they might not agree with killings and shooting.
Yeah, but when they hear the beat and they hear the beat, ooh.
Their favorite rapper saying it, you know.
Fact.
They love it. So. You know,
you almost got to take a stance even on some of those things. Like for me, I don't rock Jay-Z no more. I don't rock that stuff, even though all those albums, you know, I was raised with them.
Right.
Tupac, Biggie, everybody you could possibly think of. But I can't, because it puts me in a place where I get, you know, it just takes me there, you know, and it's definitely not the mind of Christ. So I think it's important for us, if we're going to change culture, to be able to do some of the things you're doing right now. Like you're bringing a different element. You said you were getting your master's this year, right?
Yes, sir.
And what do you got your bachelor's in?
I have it in business.
Nice.
Business. Oh, it just kind of goes with everything.
Kind of goes. Yes,
what
sir.
I see you. Were you thinking about something?
No, yeah. I mean, because God's city, taking territory, all of that, you know, but you're also a family man, right? So you're married and you have kids and
I do.
all of that. So, you know, maybe you're like Pastor Juan, who heard that song or heard a song similar to that message, right? And you can see where it comes from, or you can see, you know, the heart behind it. But I don't know, I just had a question, like, how do you think, how would you apply that as an everyday thing, you know? Because we can hear the song, we can be like, yeah, that's great and awesome, but like, how do you apply it in a tangible way? Because like you said, they're listening to the music that's talking about killing, you know, gun violence, all this thing. But then whenever it's, you know, so-and-so down the street that we knew when they were little and now he got murdered, but that was the music that we were listening to. What do you, like, what are those conversations? You know, what are those, like, tangible, different decisions we can make to change that culture so that it can become God's city, you know, one by one? Because I mean, Houston's big.
It is.
Houston's huge, you know, but I mean, I see the difference in the culture as far as music and everything. But there's also like application of it, you know.
It is.
Because I guess the reason why I'm asking about, you know, Family Man and all of that, because obviously you're not going to just sing a song and not apply it. That comes from something, you know, that you're practicing. So how do you practice that?
It's really good.
It's definitely a struggle when you're going up against something that's loved by the masses. Like the world loves that type of music again. The world loves it, and the entertainment, the industry loves it. Like they're making millions of dollars off of it.
Yeah.
So anytime you have something going against that same thing that they're making millions, you're gonna face, adversity. You know.
Yeah.
So it's definitely hard, and it definitely will have to be some, like you said before, you have to make a stand. Some people have to gonna say, we're tired of this killing, we're tired of this shooting, we're just tired of all this violence. We got to stop supporting this so much.
That's good.
It's really
as long
good.
as they're making millions, the industry is going to continue to go to where the talented people are who will speak about these things, continue to get it, and it continue to go on. So it definitely has to be a stance. Somebody's going to have to stand up. It's going to be more people who have to say, you know what, this is God City. Let's support this type of music rather than what we've been supporting all these years. We see that it's the neighborhoods and the race and the communities.
So do you do that? Do you go in the neighborhoods and stuff?
Yeah, as much as I can. It's been a lack during the
coronavirus. Yeah. That was Corona.
That was my heart, to be honest.
Wow.
For a while I had stopped going to some churches. Honestly, I had started going to I would say churches. I would just say 4 walls.
Yeah, and
started going out more. Even
outside the walls,
clubs and stuff. And I'd be the only one in there speaking some life into my music.
Yeah.
And but that's where I'm from. That's where I started. So I was comfortable. But then the coronavirus hit. Of
you had to slow it down.
Because I got my baby boy.
Ooh.
He's about to be 5 months.
Okay.
Wow.
What's that baby boy name?
His name is Zealand.
Come on, Zealand.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Zealand.
Yeah, shout out Z. So I kind of slowed back.
Sure, you got to protect the baby. You got to protect the baby.
Yeah.
Your wife too, looking at you like.
Right. Correct.
Hey man, you know what? There's some segments, that we love to have fun with people we bring on. We like to ask them questions, but we also like to have some fun, which I think is also helps the people.
Right.
So we're gonna start off with one of the segments. Stephanie, let me
so we're gonna go ahead and do Dear Younger Me, right? Because we heard a little bit about Puntin when he was younger, doing music with his twin sister and your mom and all that. So
Mama with the radio voice.
Yeah. And then 18-year-old Puntin, who kind of did his own thing for a little bit.
Right.
So if you could think back to an age, let us know what age, what Puntin was doing, what that looked like, and if you could go back and give young Puntin a piece of advice, what would you tell him, and what does that look like? Yeah, what age would it be, man? What were you doing back then?
I think my age would be somewhere in high school.
Give me an age.
It would be 16. It'd be 16.
16?
Yeah.
Well, all right.
15,
what was he doing? Where were you at? Can you see yourself 15, 16?
I was, at that point, I had turned into like class clown. Didn't care.
Didn't care?
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't care. Wasn't applying myself.
So you in the class right now making some jokes, and you're gonna call yourself out. You're gonna call yourself out.
Yeah,
okay. And now what you gonna tell him?
I'm gonna say because I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna go a little bit further behind. Okay. All through grade school, I struggled. All the way into the 9th grade, struggled with my grades. It wasn't that. In my mind, psychologically, I thought, okay, I'm not that smart, right? When I got to the 9th grade, I seen a guy that looked like me. That instead of sitting in the back like me, he was sitting in the front. And the teacher, every time the teacher asked a question, he would raise his hand and say, I know that question.
Wow, that'll preach all day long. But go ahead.
And then I saw it, and one day, and I was like, and this was like the first few days of class, I was like, man, he looked, I know that guy. Actually, he was my cousin.
Yeah.
And I say, man, I said, I could do that,
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah.
And I went home that day, and I was like, man, I'm going to start doing my homework. I'm going to start paying attention. I'm going to start doing that.
Wow. It took one good example.
One good example.
Yeah. Wow.
And that was the first time ever.
Oh, God, it's so good. Yeah. One good example.
That's it.
And you'd have believed that you could do that.
I believed I could do it. And I made straight A's for the first time. That was the 9th grade at that point. For the first time, I made straight A's.
You must be, pretty smart individual. because, some people run after like a year of college. You finish college, and now you're like, I'm going to get my master's.
Right. It wasn't that I didn't know how to do it or I couldn't do it. It was that I didn't apply myself. I never applied myself. I was around these other guys, and they didn't apply themselves.
Ooh,
and,
that's so good.
You are who you hang around.
Who you hang out.
Yes.
And that's what it was. So at that 9th grade, I realized, okay, I can do this. it's nothing. I can do it.
Good
right?
company gives you good character.
Yeah.
Come on.
10th grade, got back with that. At that point, because at 9th grade, I was at a school, intermediate school called Lamar,
Yeah.
and went to the high school. And that's when I kind of got back to not caring, not doing my work, not doing my homework.
So
copying.
9th grade was a good year, and then
9th grade was a good year to show
yeah.
me that I could do it.
Wow.
10th year, we went back to, I don't want to do it. 10th and 11th, 12th, throughout.
Yeah.
I didn't graduate with my class. I graduated the summer after they graduated because I wasn't on my stuff.
Yeah.
You know. So I would go back and talk to that punter and be like, "Hey, man, you better than that.
Yeah.
You know, you're better than that, man. All you have to do is apply yourself. You know, no, you're not dumb. You're not dumb. You got it. You can do it. Just pay attention. Pay attention. Do your homework. Apply yourself, and the sky's the limit. You know, I was supposed to at the 9th grade level. I had some things that I was gonna do, and I was gonna go to college. Right after school, I had a couple letters. You know, and I messed it all up.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And here it is, years, decades later, I go back to school because you get what I'm saying.
That's dope.
All these years I let go by. I say, you know what? No.
God redeemed your time.
He did.
You redeemed your time.
Yes, sir.
And you know, that's a really good lesson, because a lot of times there are people with a God-given gift, or just people that are not really confident, you know, but you're never going to really know what you could do until you really apply yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
for me, once I got out of prison, I was like the old dude in school. When I got out of prison, I went to school, and everybody was in their 20s in the class, and I'm like almost 40, or like I'm 40 or something like that.
Right.
And maybe a little over 40, maybe like 41, 42. I would have to sit and calculate, but I'm up there in the 40s, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, the first thing I thought to myself, because the English teacher was talking about 7 parts of a sentence and all that stuff that's kind of simple.
Yeah.
Right.
And I literally cried because I thought to myself, man, I should have paid attention when I had the chance. Now I'm 40 something years old,
Learning
and
this
I
stuff.
literally got to tell the teacher, like, I told her I don't know if I could pass this, and this teacher, big shout out to this teacher, you know, she English teacher over at College of Biblical Studies. She told me, like, why don't you meet with me on Saturdays and I'm gonna help you with English. And so I had, even then I could have I either had to like shy away from it or swallow my pride, humble myself, and go sit with these 20-year-olds that, you know, were anyway, you know. And then here I'm 40 something, so I'm feeling double you know. I'm like, man, but it changed my life. After that, I think I got an award for like writing a composition paper. Like, it was pretty cool.
Wow.
That, like you're saying, if you apply yourself, you know, I had to apply myself. You're thinking?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't have the similar story, but
She's like, you know, I've always been.
No. I was gonna say,
okay.
but it's weird that it flipped for me when I was in college because I went to culinary school.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people that were in my culinary school were older, who already were chefs, but were just going back to get the paper. So they were in there like, I already know all this. You guys are doing everything wrong. I've been doing this for years, and I made me, the younger one, feel like, you know, you little guppy, you don't know what you're doing. That kind of thing.
This is a pan.
Yeah. So I thought that was crazy that it was flipped, but at the end of the day, you know, everyone had to apply themselves. It didn't matter if they had, you know, if they had to go back and do the 3-4 years to get the paper, or, you know, I did after high school and, you know, applied to the 3 years, because then they had what they had and what I didn't have. They had the experience, but I was getting the paper, and I would get my experience later.
That's super cool.
So,
that's super cool. So that's what you would have said to that cat.
That's what I would have said.
Apply yourself.
Apply yourself.
Come on, listen up, y'all.
Yeah.
Apply yourself.
That applies to all of us.
That
in
applies
every
to
area of our
even
life,
later
you
in
know?
life.
Yeah.
Even later,
It
it doesn't
does.
matter.
It does.
Because anything you don't apply yourself, you know, you'll just never know. I mean, the promises of God are there, but unless you walk them out, you'll never have the wisdom to really tell somebody else the steps that you took.
You're right. And
You know?
as we speak right now on the conversation of how you said speak to the younger P,
Yeah.
I speak to myself too, because there's sometimes that some things that I want to do now that I fear. You get what I'm saying?
Wow. Yeah.
No, apply yourself. You can do it. You know, it's that cliche saying, what they say, you can do anything you put your mind to. I mean, every time you think about it, everything that you have just said you can do it, you're going to do it, you've done it.
Yeah.
And everything you've talked yourself out of doing, you probably didn't do it.
Yeah, you probably never did it.
I mean,
Didn't even try.
and here's the thing. So, you know, the Spray 409, I kind of been saying this here lately because I think it's just a dope story, you know. So the Spray 409, it got the name because of the 409th try.
Wow.
Is when it worked.
I didn't know that.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a trip, right?
Oh, man.
So talking to what we're talking about right now, think about if this guy, like most of the times, you would have quit at 50.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Now the guy, just imagine if the guy would have quit at 4:08.
That's crazy.
Now, you know, he's probably a millionaire right now,
Right.
but he stuck it through 409 tries. To say this is to say that when we continue to do things, we just don't fail. See, most of us, we fail and we go backwards.
Mm-hmm.
But you should fail forward, because that's what that guy did. Second time, okay, I got to tweak this better. Next time, I got to tweak this better, right? That's what he kept doing all the way. I mean, he didn't leave it the same. Yeah, I'm going to add this. Okay, take a little bit of water. And somehow 406, 407, 400, 409. It worked. Name it that, you know? So that's amazing. So,
like that.
you know, it's good to get it wrong sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
For us, when we get it wrong, because we're empowered by the Spirit of God, that's the difference. We keep moving forward. We persevere it.
Right.
And eventually you get the 409 time, right?
Get it. Every L you turn it into a lesson.
That's it, man.
Yeah, take it as a lesson.
All right, we're gonna move on to the next one, which is always fun also.
Okay.
So this next segment's called You Think You Know Me, right? Because we have all sorts of people who, especially now in social media age, and you know, with things being blown up, like you were talking about God City, or even before that, I know you were sharing that you were on BET and traveled the world and all over the country. So maybe somebody sees you, right? They
BET.
they see you, they hear about Puntin, and they probably have like this prejudgment, right, of who you are, what you're about, or maybe even just, you know, you walking in, you got the jersey says lean on God, anything that, you know,
that
maybe somebody, somebody has prejudged you on, right? So we just let you set the record straight, share with us something that, you know, people think they know about you, but, you know, let us know what's the real deal.
Because and let me add to that a little bit, because I think sometimes, we had a guy who's super funny, super awesome. His name is Antoine from Kingdom Music. You know, when we were talking to him, he was like, people think I'm angry. But the dude is super funny and like real cool. Right. But I guess from pictures and Instagram, they think he angry. Right. So he like, you know, you think you know me, you know. So sometimes not sometimes. Nowadays, the minute they see a picture, they judge you on it. Right. You know, and so, you know, I'd like to hear what that is.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I think people may think I'm serious. I'm too serious a lot. You know, a lot of the people who may know me who may not know me, but Instagram.
They see you in the pic, like.
Yeah, they might think I'm too serious. Like even in recording, like I've recorded some people, and I can tell. I don't know what it is, but I can tell that I don't know. I don't want to say shy. But nervous. You know what I mean?
You're intimidating to them?
Intimidating to them. Yeah.
Because you probably got that. Right now you got that cool, like, hey, what's up? You know, with the little smile and everything, and it's good. It's good. But maybe when you're in the work mode, you're like,
And you know, in the past, with my secular group, it's been some times to where I had to really like I turn around and like, hey man,
because you're serious about your craft.
Correct. I was serious about it, and it only.
That's how Marco the media guy is with us.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, man. When he like, yo, didn't I wrap it up?
Yeah. And I was with these guys 6 years, and it only happened, maybe I can count on my fingers how many times it happened. 3 times. Yeah. But that can tell you the measures of it. If I remembered that 3 times, I kind of stood up and said, hey man, y'all quit playing, you know. That. So I think maybe some people think it's more like that, but it's not. I'm like the most laid back, cool guy, you know what I mean? And another thing is that a lot of them may think I'm hood cat, you know, I'm a gangster, you know, or used to be. So to set that straight.
That's dope. Okay, come on, let him have it.
Set that straight.
He said that. Right? We're gonna set that straight.
We're gonna set it straight. So I'm not the gangster type. I grew up in the hood. I grew up around the drugs. I grew up around the gangsters, the OGs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I shared rooms with an OG. My brother was an OG. You know, I shared rooms with dope dealers. You know, I was around it. I was in the midst of it.
So you weren't blood, you weren't cripping?
No, I was
around it.
Supposedly a crip.
Yeah.
And I wore nothing but blue.
Yeah, of course.
I was around it. That was the hood.
Sure.
You know? Everybody wears, but I was around it. So the whole time I'm around this, I'm in it, but I was doing more analyzing. I seen my brother go to prison 3 times. I seen another brother go 2 times. Seen a lot of brothers get shot. I seen a lot of brothers go. I seen some of my people that I record every day go to prison. You know.
Yeah.
So I was around it. So I think people maybe labeled me as that guy. No, I'm not that guy. I always looked at it and said, you know what? I don't want to go to prison. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to shoot this guy. I don't want to. So I always looked and said, okay, really I seen that happen to that guy. You know what? I seen my brother go to prison 3 times. Nah, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And, you know, just stayed away from it. So, that's I've been around it, but I'm not no gangster. I'm not ashamed to say it.
Yeah.
You know what's wild? Like, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, like, you know, that if you take a serious picture and you have a hat on and a jersey, right? Automatically, you are that guy.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and that's I mean, we get in shock with it, like, but it's a scripture, right? It says that man looks at the outward appearance. Correct. So it's almost like you can shave your face, put on a suit with a tie, and then, hey, maybe you are some of these things you're saying, but as long as you rock a hat,
right,
you're not, and you could be,
right?
You know, internally. Right, because what makes you is the inside, not the clothes is just personality. It's kind of like what you like.
Correct.
You know, so you thinking, I can tell. I can tell when you got a thought. You're like, I got a thought here.
Because it's kind of like there's 2 sides of it for me, you know, right? Because I hear you say that, and I definitely like, you know, I relate because, you know, right now I'm pretty kind of reserved. I got a piercing in my mouth and my nose, but, you know, before I had like my head shaved, even though I wasn't like, I guess I would say that, you know, to where I wasn't around much crazy. I wasn't, you know, doing super crazy stuff, but I remember even as a believer and just that my appearance was different. If I would go visit another church with a friend, they would look at me and be like, hey, you know, are you enjoying church? Are you loving it here? So they're thinking I'm kind of like the heathen that their friend brought on, and I'm just like, nah, I got a youth group over here, you know. But like
they're smelling for alcohol,
you know. Yeah, that thing. But then also when you were, so that's definitely wild. I understand it, you know. But
hey, how'd you deal with that? How did that make you feel?
I don't think it really made me. It just kind of it made me feel like I was kind of like a walking lesson in a sense. Not that I was like shoving my finger in their face like, how dare you judge me or anything like that.
Right.
I'm more like the reserved, quiet person. I'm not like, I mean, I can be, you know, extra and flamboyant.
I can be
that way, but I'm not really like that first, you know, once I walk into a room, you know. So I kind of just let them get to know me and let them open their eyes on their own, and then they would be shocked, you know, to know that, you know, I also attend church, and then I knew all the scriptures that they were talking about and all of that. And then I think like I could see their brains working more so of like, oh, you know what, maybe I was wrong about like the way she looked at the beginning, you know. What were you gonna say? But then also when you were saying like, okay, so was there a point where you stopped hanging around that kind of thing, like when you were sharing that? You were like, you were around it, and people thought you were in it. Because then there's also, the reason why I'm asking is because then there's also the sense of like, maybe, I mean, your heart was good because you're like, you know, I'm choosing not to be in this. Right. But then I feel like there's also those people who say that, well, you judging me because, you know, this is people I hang around and this and that. But really, that's just their excuse to continue to hang around that type of people. You know what I mean?
That's a good one. So mine was, I was around it. Now I'm really speaking of when I was definitely in it.
Yeah.
So, so at that point, I didn't care what people thought because I was around it and I was in it. Now later on, now, I'm going to tell you one thing about it. If you're around something for so long, you will become it. So it was a time in my life where I was becoming that. You know, I was becoming that point.
Yeah.
So it was later on when I got in there, I was getting to that I don't care point. I was getting to that paranoid point, you know, think I needed a trick or a gun or whatever. It was a point I was getting there like, I don't care moment. Like, I am a I am a gangster, you know. But as God changed my life, you know, and I had to, of course I had to separate myself.
Right.
I did have to move around. I remember there was one time in my life when I changed my life, I was still roommating with a lot of the guys, and they were coming over every day, and they were, you know, doing their thing with the drugs, and I had to move, even though I had a lease, I had another guy take over that lease, and I moved with my parents.
Wow.
Yeah, until I could get where I needed to get situated and get my own place. So I stayed with my parents for like I don't even think people knew this, but I stayed with my parents for like a couple months.
Yeah.
Couple months, got on my feet.
That's not bad.
That's cool. No, I think that's really cool that you did that and that you share that.
I swallowed my pride.
Yeah.
It was like, man, I'm changing. I can't be around this no more.
Yeah.
I moved with them.
So you got out of it.
I got out of it.
That's
because our position, you know, we try to fake the funk and be like, oh no, I'll be good, but then
you're around it still. You know, it would have been a struggle. So got out of it, did that, and you know, I'm still cool with people. I can go hang.
You say what's up.
But you had that moment of separation that you needed, you know?
Oh, definitely. And I still, to this day, I just don't be around it because I just know what can come with it. Like, I just had a friend of mine. I just did a project with him a couple years ago. We did a EP together.
Yeah.
Man, he just got killed.
You got killed.
Wow.
He just got killed, yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah, man, it's just, I just stay away from it.
Yeah.
Stay away from it now, man.
But you got babies to raise.
Got babies to raise, you know? And I think that's another reason I'm more passionate about it now, about, you know, kind of bringing more light to this.
You got a lot of work to do.
Got a lot of work to do.
You got a lot of work to do, and and it's you're doing it. You're doing it just by way of example. The same way your cousin was in the front, and he was that example that may change you. Think about, I want you to reach a lot of people.
Yes, sir.
Because I feel like you are an example that says, hey, you can go to school.
Yes, sir.
You can grow up in an environment and choose to walk out of that environment,
Right.
even though you want to go back to help the environment.
Yes, sir.
You don't have to become a product of that environment.
You don't have to.
Right, you're a product of the kingdom now.
Correct.
And that's a beautiful thing.
That's
Yes, sir.
awesome. All right, we're going to finish it up with the last few minutes with the struggle was real.
The struggle
right? So this
was
last segment, we like
real.
to say, you know, everyone talks about like, oh man, the struggle's real right now, all of that. But, you know, being on a platform or having different levels of influence, you know, there's things that people assume that we don't go through, right? They think that, oh, your life must be easy. You know, you just smell the roses all day and all of that. So we want you to share, you know, something that maybe you've struggled with in the past, right? Something that maybe past or recently, but then also because somebody listening might relate to that.
Okay.
But then also share with us how you overcame it so that we can give those tools and equip our listeners, right, on how they can overcome it as well.
It's good.
That's a good one. Got me thinking on that one.
Yeah.
Let me think on that one. I guess I can say
Keep it real. Keep it real.
I guess I can say man, what can I say with that one?
Is there anything you struggle? Look, we're like, is there?
We're like,
We're like, is there anything you're struggling?
Which one is
like
it?
yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, the struggle is, you know, it looks different for several people, right? Some people struggle with depression. Some people struggle with anxiety or loneliness, or maybe like you were talking about pride. You know, you put your pride to the side, you know, to go spend some time with your parents and just be like, hey, look, this is the environment that I got to get out of. So, you know, or maybe just recently with your school, you know, finishing your bachelor's and being a father, being, you know, a businessman,
working because you work,
all of that, and working,
and you have music,
right?
So what's the struggle that somehow you struggle with it, but there's a way that you always get out of it? Because you know,
I would say just the struggle with not giving up.
Yeah.
Like, because you have your hills, you have your valleys. You have some times in life where you're just on top of the world, you know.
Yeah.
And then you have those times where you're at the bottom. So I remember it was one time when I was on top of the world, everything was going great, and I was I heard a song, or I heard a pastor preaching, and he was talking about the valley. He was talking about struggles, and I was sitting in back there, and I was like, man, I can't relate to that. I was trying to tune it out because I didn't want to hear about the bottom, because I've been there before.
Yeah.
And at this point, I wasn't. I was doing pretty good, you know, and I was like, I don't want to go back to that. I can't relate to it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's hitting somebody, but I didn't want to relate to it. But I can't tell you this. I hit the bottom again before, and I can relate to it.
Yeah.
I can relate to it. So the thing about it is, you know, keeping faith not only when you have everything together, when it seems like everything's together, but
like
keeping faith when you're at the bottom. That's the point when you know, okay, you know what?
Yeah.
It's been a time in my life when I say, you know what? Okay, let me. It's coming to me now.
Yeah.
Okay. It was a point in my life. This was before I got married. I was.
How long you been married?
been married. Oh, don't let me. You're gonna get me in trouble.
He's like, let me text her real quick.
No, I think six, 7 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Good. He's like, I'm gonna give you a range just in case.
6 or 7.
Hey, listen, you're still gonna get in trouble.
She's like, it's 6 years.
Yeah, he's like, hey, when is that show airing? Oh, it ain't next week.
Babe, you don't have to listen. It's cool.
It's cool. It's good.
But no, this was back before I got
Before
married.
you got married,
Yeah.
right?
And I was, and I told myself, I would say, man, I'm gonna get it right, with the female
Yeah.
situation. I'm gonna get it right. I'm not gonna, And I was doing great. I had some months under my belt. That was great for me. That was great.
I love that.
Now that is real. That is real.
Just being real.
Like,
No, I got you. I got some months,
like,
man.
Yeah, I got some
months under my
months
belt. I like it.
And it was this one time that I slipped up, and but it bothered me. At this point, it bothered me, and it never bothered me before. I just
Well, that's a good
Yeah.
thing.
It was a good thing.
Yeah.
It was a good thing.
Fact.
It bothered me, and I was talking to God at that point, and I realized at that point that okay, I gotta let it be your will. I can't do it on my own.
Yeah.
That's when I realized what giving God, letting God
Yeah.
control the will. You know what I mean? I knew then. I'm like, okay, man, I can't do this on my own. I even wrote
Fact.
a song called "Lord Help Me." 'Cause I can't, yeah, I wrote a song that night. I was saying, "Lord Help Me."
Off the album, a few months under my belt.
Because I was trying to learn my strength to do it. I was trying to.
Yes.
And I realized I couldn't. I'm like, man.
No,
Lord.
there's
that is
no
so
way
good.
you can,
Yeah.
especially that.
Yeah.
Our
Our flesh is weak.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to listen. As a human being, you do not have self-control.
Right.
If you look at self-control, I believe it's the last one in the fruit of the spirit. And so the only way we have now, when a guy looks like, man, you got control,
Right.
it's because he has surrendered his will unto the lordship of Jesus.
Yes, sir.
So he look all that like he got control. Hey, he ain't all that.
Right.
He's gonna tell you if he's genuine, he's gonna be like, look, I'm just following Jesus,
Yeah.
and because I follow Jesus, even in my difficulties, I step out. I don't get into things that I probably would have got into if I follow my own will.
Right.
Yeah.
So Jesus keeps you out of that. I mean, Stephanie, you went through a whole
Oh
shit,
yeah, man.
right?
Several, because I was not one to be like,
You're like,
again, at 18, right? So I was like, oh, all church, all of that. Right after high school, I went wild, right? But then I realized that I was
Wildin',
kind of like
wildin'.
wildin', all of that. But I realized I was like the serial relationship person because I would like be in a relationship for a year. And then I never spent any time by myself. Then I would, end that relationship and then be in another relationship for another year.
Okay.
And so for the first time, I've been single for 3 years, and that was
Yeah.
like the longest. That was years under my belt. So I was like, man, that was the longest time I've been
Hey,
single
right now,
for.
he almost broke out in tongues. He was like, Shonda. He's like,
So
girl.
man, that was several months under my belt, and that was the first time ever, And so it was just really understanding that you know what, it's obviously the way I've been doing it for this
Right.
long is not working because
Yeah.
now we're just like on
And
a
you're
repeat
good now.
cycle.
Now you're good.
Yeah, now I'm fine. But it was definitely a very tough 3 years. There was hills and valleys in that too.
I remember.
So,
Right.
yeah, a lot of it. So I definitely can relate to that, and I can appreciate it. 'cause-
Yeah, you learn a lot from those moments if you really utilize your singleness for what you're supposed to. I feel like that's the common theme.
Yeah, today has been.
Yeah, if you utilize it for what it's supposed to be, where it's God and you
Right.
really working out things out of you, so you don't mess the next person up.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah. You learn
yes.
yourself. Be happy with yourself.
Yeah.
Before
Yeah.
You,
Oh yeah, without a
That's
doubt.
awesome.
Because if not, you'll expect the other person to be savior or do things that only Jesus could do.
Right.
So you got to have this relationship right,
Right.
so that you could have these relationships right,
I agree.
right? Especially the marriage one, because you're gonna be with that person every day.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Every day, all day. It don't
Yeah,
matter. You ain't
all day.
escaping.
Yeah. And I think one thing we don't really think about is, even though you have to develop and work on yourself, is that, like you were talking about earlier, we're all brothers and sisters, right? And
Yeah.
so if we're not thinking of the person who we might hurt because we didn't, ask God to do his work in our lives,
Yeah.
we can't say that we love our brothers and sisters in Christ, because those are God's children too, you know?
Fact. Even the one that you're like, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, man. It just makes marriage such a beautiful thing when you understand your bride and groom, your relationship with Christ, your salvation. And so, Puntin, let me tell you something. It was so exciting having you on the show.
I enjoyed myself.
So
Thank
excited
you so
that your
much.
album came out yesterday. God City,
Yes,
go get
sir.
that. It's just really exciting to know that there are people in Houston and in the rap game that are changing culture and want to uplift the kingdom of God here in very own Houston, Texas. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for being with us.
Thank you guys for having me.
Juan Martinez from This Is Real.
And I'm Stephanie Rave, and we're so glad you joined us. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and turn on your notification bell so you get notified every single time we have a new episode.
And don't forget, in Houston, Texas, on 100.7 FM, every single Saturday night, we're on the airwaves from 6:30 to 7:30, man, with real people, real problems, real solutions. The show is rocking.
Amen.
But not only that, not only is the show rocking, we're also reaching 53 cities, 51 state and county jails and prisons. And what we're doing is we're bringing the word to them. We're bringing them some laughter and some
Fire.
good times and some fire.
Amen.
And so for that, we need some partners. So if you want to partner with us, please click on the link below.
And don't forget to follow us on social media, hashtag This Is Real, or on any other platforms, Pastor Juan Martinez.
Hey, that's a wrap. Peace.